everyone, welcome back to the 13th part of how to build a VR space game. In the last video, what we did was we created this canvas here that shows up every time you get your certain amount of winning kills or a certain amount of deaths in order to lose. We created a game manager here which controls all that. You can see here our kills and our max kills. This is the amount of kills it takes to win, and then our deaths here, that's the amount of deaths it takes to lose. And then you can see here that we have our canvases so that we can enable them and disable them depending on whether we've won or lost or neither. And then our level name is just going to be the next level. I don't have another level, so I just made it this level's name. So pretty much when you press next level, it just restarts the level. So that's what we did on the last video. In this video, what I think we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start making some death effects for our players here, for our player and our robot. That way when we kill them, as you can see when I test this out, when we kill our enemies, they just disappear, and same thing happens with us if they kill us and we just disappear. As you can see, he's just gonna disappear and that's it. And it's not really very fancy or anything. It's quite cheap. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create some dead objects for these characters. So first off, what you're going to want to do is go into the models folder and pull out the robot base. Go ahead and delete the gun and the sword. We don't need those. And oh, there was one more thing I forgot to show you guys that you could. That's optional. It doesn't really matter. You could do. I have two different arm guards on here for this model. This is the one that you can see if you just uncheck that or delete it, then you can see he has the other arm guard there. That was something that I was planning on using as like maybe saying giving them custom armor and stuff like that, but as I said before, I never really finished this model, so that was the only thing that I changed on there. But anyway, I'm just gonna put that back on, and what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to create a ragdoll. So go to create 3D object ragdoll, and then we're just gonna start filling these out here. So you're going to want to get the pelvis bone, which is the hips here. Then we're going to want to get the left thigh. It says hips there, but that's actually like the thigh. Then you're going to want to get the knee, which in this case would be the calf. And then the foot for the left side. And then do the same thing. Just keep on filling these out the best you can. And then we'll get the arm pieces. And then we'll get the middle spine after we get the arm pieces. The middle spine is just going to be whatever spine is between the chest and the hips. And then our head, which is obviously just going to be the head. Alright. And then you can decide to change any of these things if you want to. I'm just going to keep them the same. I'm going to create. And as you can see, some of these colliders, like this one here, and these ones are kind of off in thickness, and even this one's on the wrong axis. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to grab both of these here, and I'm going to just start tweaking things away. That way they're both the same. And what was it, Z-axis, I believe? No, X-axis is what those ones should be on. The radius I'm going to change to about 0.12, and then the height I'd say 0.59 maybe. And let me actually just move this the same because it looks like it might be a little forward. And then let's just take a look at that and see how good it looks. I'm just gonna move it up a little bit, but honestly I think it looks good enough. So the calves are looking good. Let's look at the rest of it again. The thighs are looking pretty fat. Let's go ahead and edit those too. Let's see here. Just get them all centered. Just change that radius down to like what was it? 0.12. Yeah, that's good. And the height, I'd say the height's good somewhere around there. And let's look at it again. And you know what? I think that looks good. The hips and the chest are a little weird, and the head's not that big, but that's fine. This is just gonna be a dead object. We don't need to worry about whether these things are exact or anything. I'm just gonna bring it out in front of the player and press play just to see what it looks like. Gonna bring it up a little bit just so it'll fall down. Let's just press play and see how that looks. Yeah, that's decent. You can see he just goes limp. Alright, and I'm gonna rename it to Dead Robot or Dead Bot. And I'm just gonna run that, or I'm just gonna drag that to our prefabs. That way we can save that as a prefab. And then we're gonna do the same thing for my astronaut. So get the dead robot out of there. Bring your astronaut model in, which is actually under the Unity specified content. Bring that in there, and just do the same thing with the ragdoll. Create a 3D object, ragdoll, and start filling in the blanks here. So our hips are gonna be our hips. Got our left thigh, left shin, left foot. Same thing with our right thigh, right shin, right foot, and then our arms. Got the right arm, or left arm, left elbow, or forearm is what it is here. Got the right upper arm, the right forearm, and then the middle spine will just be the spine, and the head is just going to be the head. And then go ahead and create. And looks like on this one the arms are a little messed up, so let's just modify the arms a little bit. Let's look at the upper arm. Just select both of those. Let's just adjust it a little bit and see how we can get that looking good. Let's check the radius here. The radius, let's try 0.08, 0.09. Yeah, I like 0.09, and let's change the height of it to something like 0.38. And then for the forearms, looks like some of them, they're not even on the same axis, so change them both to X. And then let's just start modifying things like that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to set this at 0. See what the Z does. Sometimes these are really off, as you can see. X and or Z and Y, and you can see that the Z is actually controlled by the X for some reason, but that's okay. Or it actually goes by the actual rotation of the bone itself, and I guess I didn't roll the rotations within Blender to zero them out. But that's fine, it doesn't really matter. As long as the animations work, I'm okay with it. Alright, 0.09 seems kind of big for the forearms. I'm going to do 0.08. And then the height, something like that. That's good. Now let's look at that let's look at that ragdoll and see what it looks like. I think that looks fine. Let's rename this to something like Dead Astro. And then just save that in your prefabs folder. Oh, and there was one more thing we need to add on both of those dead objects, because we don't want them to stay there forever. Just select them both, the dead astro and the dead bot, and add a new component, kill after time, and just make it kill it after like 3 seconds or something like that, however long you want it to take. And unless you do want them to stay there forever, then don't even put that on there. But most games, the dead objects, dead players usually go away. Alright, so now that's on there. Let's head into our health script. Here we're going to want to add a new game object. It's going to be our public game object, and that's going to be our effect, or death effect, or something like that. And then what we're going to want to say is on die, the first thing we're going to want to do is instantiate our dead object. So instantiate the effect, and then that's going to instantiate at our current transform dot position, and then its rotation is also going to be our current transform dot rotation. Alright, and now that should be working just fine. Save that, and then let's test it out. Alright, let's go find an enemy and shoot him and see how well this dead object works. If we can find an enemy somewhere. Oh, behind us. Alright, so shoot him out. Oh, I can't seem to aim very good from far. Let me get closer. Shoot him out, and oh, maybe we didn't add our game object on there. Oops. So go to your robot AI and your astronaut, or actually just go one at a time. To go to your astronaut and add that dead astronaut onto the effects, and then go to your robot AI and add the dead robot onto the effects of the health. Alright, now let's try it out. let's wait for another enemy to come by, and then we'll shoot him out. And you can see they are spawning, but they're spawning a little up, kind of high. And the reason for that is because these models, when I imported them into Blender and exported them, I had their pivot point at the feet instead of at the center. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring both of these in again, both of the dead objects. I'm just gonna bring them both right in there. And let me go ahead and, oh, I didn't bring the robot one. Whoops, bring the robot one in there. Oh, that's not the dead robot, that's the AI. Let me bring the dead one in. Alright, there we go. And let me see here. Let me go back to the, if we hit the pivot, you can see this is where the actual center pivot point, I guess, of the object is. So when an object spawns in the position of whatever the game object is, like our robot AI, its pivot point is right here. So this one, its pivot point is going to be there when it spawns too. So it's going to spawn a little high like that, and then it's just going to fall down. So a quick, easy fix we can do for that is just to create an empty game object on that game object. Let's just take it out of there. I'm going to rename it to the same name as the game object itself. Drag that in there, and then let's see, let me take the, first of all, let me drag that out real quick again, and I'm going to bring this up to the center like I wanted it to be, and then drag the dead robot, or the robot AI in there, or yeah, that is the dead robot. So let's see here, saying that it's a -1, let me see here, -1. So that should be getting our pivot to the center of the object here. Let's see. Yeah, that's decent enough. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move the kill after time. Just drag it straight off of this object and put it onto that new object that we created, and then just drag that into your prefab, and then replace it, and then that's your prefab now. You can do the same thing for the dead astronaut. Just create an empty game object on the astronaut's position, change its name to dead astro, bring it out of the object, bring it up, and then just bring the astronaut in there. And let's see, what is he at? We'll change his to -1 also, I guess. That way, I think that should be centered. Let me look at our astronaut and see where his center is at. His center is somewhere right under the buttons. So if we look at that one, then yeah, that looks pretty decent. So just do the same thing, take the kill after time, drag it to that new object, and then drag this into your dead astronaut prefab and replace it. And then let's get that out of there, and let's see how it looks now. Wait for an enemy to spawn. There's one. Our spawn points are kind of funny too. They're up in the air. I guess I was messing around a bit, changing the size of the planet and stuff, and yeah, so that actually looks fine. I like the way that looks. Yep, that looks good. But anyway, yeah, I was changing the size of the planet, and I forgot to move the spawn points and stuff like that. So as you can see, enemies are dying. Let me wait for one of them to kill me, and then I want to see what my dead body looks like, if I even have time to see it. So there might not be any time because it kills itself after 3 seconds. I think my health. I forgot to change my health. I put my health up really high for testing purposes while I was trying this stuff out. So let me go back to my astronaut. Let me change his max health down to something like 500. And I'll take my health back down. And okay, now they're killing me super fast. Let's wait until I die, and then I want to look and see. I'm going to turn around right away and see my old dead game object. Yep, and there you can see he's there, and he disappears right away. And now these guys are really, really killing me. I don't stand a chance against 10 enemies. I put 10 enemies on here because I wanted to, I was just doing it for testing purposes. I'm actually going to change that back down to something like, where's our game manager? No, it's not on the game manager. It's on the spawner, which is right here. Our spawner, my max amount is 10. I'm going to change that back to 3. I'm going to change that to 0. Spawn time 3, that's fine. Now I won't be dying really quick and stuff right away. Alright, so now that we got our death effects set up, I'm actually going to call this the end of this video. In the next video, I think what we might do is we might get a main menu going, and maybe even a second level. That way we can actually make this into a good game where you can unlock levels and stuff like that. And as always, I really appreciate your time. If you like the video, make sure to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe.